And we're in. Hey, y'all, welcome to Crosspolitic at AmFest 2025 on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Good to be with you, Pastor Toby, Chalk Knox. I'm the water boy. I got my pastor here, Pastor Doug, both Pastor Toby and Pastor Doug. They're my pastors, but Pastor Doug Wilson in the house, and then Seth Gruber from White Rose Resistance. Thank you guys for coming on here
Finally
at AmFest.
meeting Seth.
Yeah.
That's right.
Fantastic.
So, Pastor Wilson, is this your first time here at AmFest?
Yes, to AmFest. I did one Turning Point event
West
in
Palm
Florida,
Beach.
West Palm Beach a couple years ago.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But the Amerifest, this is the first time here.
Yeah.
It's kind of impressive, kind of a grand scale. Yes. 20 I've never seen 20 acres of vendors before.
So, what's your take on this? 3 or 4 months after Charlie's passed away, AmFest, they have 30,000 people here. I was here last year. They had 20,000 people, and I still felt like I was going to have a seizure, and they just added on top of that. But in terms of like the movement, what's going on in the conference, one thing that we've talked about already today is, the GOP kind of has veered into this Christless conservatism, and Charlie was going away from that.
Yeah.
And now we're here without Charlie, and what do you think's going on?
Well, I heard the name of Christ appealed to numerous times since there are a lot of people here who are very, very open about their Christian commitments and open about the fact that Christless conservatism will, at the end of the day, conserve nothing. Right? You can't conserve anything without an arche, without a central principle, and that principle is personal and has to be Christ.
Yeah. Right. And so you actually. Did you have a breakout session? You had a breakout session?
No, it was main stage.
Okay. So you were
Gabe. Main stage.
No.
Just so you know.
I was going to get there.
No, just main stage.
I was going to get there. I thought you had a breakout session and the main stage.
No.
You're on main stage with, so I was going to double.
Did a breakout session with Crosspolitic.
I just
got so small.
Breakout session with Crosspolitic. Yes.
Yeah. But you were on the main stage with Steve Dace, debating Israel. Steve lost.
Well, it wasn't really a debate. So we largely agreed. Steve is something of a Christian Zionist, and I'm a Reformed replacement theology guy. But what we were doing.
That sounds like an immigration thing that I don't want to be any part of. Replacement theology.
No, it's not the Great Replacement. It's the church is Israel now. Yeah. So Reformed covenantal theology teaches that the church is now the heir of all the covenant blessings. And some people think that is anti-Semitic because you squeeze the Jews out.
Yeah.
Right? And so we had this discussion, and the import of it was, across this theological divide among Christians, we can all agree that Jew hate is bad. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So that was the upshot of the discussion.
So what Toby's asked this question, I don't know how many times at this conference. We've been interviewing people and all day yesterday and today. But I mean, like 2 years ago, I never heard a peep about Israel hardly. Why all of a sudden is this conversation about Israel just like
thank you for
every
asking
other
me.
thing? Yes.
So let me.
Why do you keep talking about Israel?
I want to be a Wikipedia thing, and I want to disambiguate something here. Okay. There's a lot of it. There's a difference of opinion in the conservative movement about America's relationship to Israel. Is it our top ally? Should foreign aid? Should we give foreign aid to anybody? Those are all legitimate political differences of opinion, and the conservative movement should be able to easily accommodate all of those views. Right? It's a normal intramural debate, and the conservative movement would be stronger for housing and tolerating that debate. What's happened, and the crackle in the room, is the result of a completely different debate, fomented by Candace. Whether or not the organizers of this conference were complicit in the murder of Charlie Kirk has nothing to do with Israel. Nothing whatever to do with Israel. And it's an unhinged and demented approach. And what's happened is the angst and the upsetness that people feel about that gets slopped over into the Israel debate. Because how dare you say that about Erica? I'm just raising questions about Israel. No, you're not. That's not.
Yeah, that's an
Erica's-
accusation.
It's an accusation of a person.
Right.
And what's happened is those two issues are getting smudged together, and we need to unsmudge them. And we unsmudge them by saying, Candace, go home, just be done.
Sound like John MacArthur.
Yeah, John
Well, she
MacArthur.
is home. How about you turn off your computer and your laptop and the cameras?
That's right. Go home, go to a cabin in the mountains where there is no internet.
Seth, I want to talk to you a little bit about the pro-life movement inside of like the kind of TPUSA movement. Where is that? What do you see that's happening? Are we going to abolitionists, or is there? Because I'm noticing there's kind of this mixed bag that's happening. There's pro-life and there's kind of like super uber duper pro-life. What's your take on where everything is?
I mean, I adore Turning Point USA, Turning Point Faith. I was part of watching Rob McCoy, my pastor at the time, establish Turning Point Faith with Charlie. And they put this kook on most of the faith conference stages. I was at the same West Palm Beach that Pastor Doug was at. And they've taken the pro-life issue very seriously, including putting people on stage and in breakout sessions that said, if you don't want to give the unborn child legal protections, then you're not with us.
Yeah.
Because I just said that this morning to a packed breakout session, and we talked through some of the distinctions and differences. And, there's smash mouth incrementalists, and then there's like pro-life establishment compromise people who very clearly do not want to restore legal protections to the unborn child.
That are fighting actively against it.
Yes. That's right.
Yes.
Unfortunately, both positions were given stage time at AmFest this week. So I'm thankful that I was able to articulate the equal rights protection position, which is inevitably where the entire movement has to go.
Yeah.
And is there appetite for it? I mean, is there support for it?
Oh,
Are
absolutely.
you
I mean, I had
sensing that?
standing ovation in
Yeah.
a packed breakout session as I was walking through that.
Basically, there are a bunch of people here who know how to follow the argument.
Right.
And if you make to take a typical rhino pro-life position for a politician, I'm against abortion except in cases of rape and incest. Well, that tells me that you don't understand what the issue is even about. Right. You don't understand. You're just checking boxes.
Yep. Well, it was yes, it was wonderful. I'm very grateful for Turning Point, for Lucas Miles' leadership, and being willing to have these conversations, because for too long I think we've had primarily pro-life establishment, thick-headed, fat donors who are actually not concerned with protecting the unborn child. And it sucks to have to say that, but there's too many examples that prove that, of multi-million-dollar pro-life organizations, not just saying, let's have the debate, but actively shaming, smearing, and pressuring people at the state level who are just saying, let's protect the babies. And so what I'm very grateful for, what the Lord has done with the White Rose Resistance in the last 3 years, is for some reason, I don't know how the heck this happened, but I've been on more pulpits on the issue of life in the American church than anyone else that I'm aware of. And when I throw out these little equal protection bombs, and sometimes I watch the congregation go, oh, and then 2 minutes later, just baby walking them through it, and they're and then the whole congregation's going,
Why are they squirmish?
So the point is lay evangelicals who just love Jesus and read their Bible, and maybe they give an occasional gift to the pro-life movement. They're like, wait, I thought this was what we were all trying to do. I thought the whole point was to restore legal protections. It's only pro-life establishment leaders. Well, it's the Upton Sinclair quote. It's almost impossible to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on him not understanding it.
Wow.
Well, and I mean, Doug, I couldn't imagine you actually got arrested with Operation Save America, right? Back in the day, is that true?
It wasn't Operation Rescue, but it was a similar sort of thing. I got arrested in Spokane. Yeah.
In Spokane, Washington. I'm sure back then you all believed abortion should have ended. How did the pro-life establishment start kind of,
Seeding ground.
Yeah, or kind of getting,
So let me tell you,
bonky on that.
Yeah, so there was a big division in the pro-life movement in the 80s, and it was, should we have a constitutional amendment banning abortion that would outlaw it in all 50 states, or do we repeal Roe and kick it back to the states? Now, de facto, that's what's happened with Dobbs.
Right.
But back in the day is, what's our macro strategy among pro-lifers? Do we shoot the moon and try to get a constitutional amendment, or do we kick it back to the state level. That was a strategic debate. And this is the story I've heard. Ronald Reagan had a summit of pro-life leaders in the White House, and acrimony broke out, debate over which way to go. Okay. And Reagan got up and left and said, going out the door, when you guys figure it out, let me know. Right?
Wow.
So it was a division between basically one of the reasons why we've had this perpetual carnage is because pro-life leaders got sucked up into turf wars and ego battles over strategy, and then you can wrap it in what you think are the principles, right? It's compromise to go for 50 states. You have to go for the whole thing. And if someone is honestly pro-life, which means they want their goal is to end human abortion.
Yes.
Right. That's the only legitimate goal, is to end human abortion. If someone calls themselves pro-life, or they call themselves abolitionists, or they call them smash mouth, I'm their friend, and I want to keep them all friends with one another, so we don't do a rerun of the 80s.
Yeah.
So we haven't really moved very far there, because the fight is still going on right now.
No. No, still going on.
Well, I mean, Roe v. Wade did end, though. So
Yeah.
one side did win.
Yeah, the incrementalists, basically the incrementalist strategy was on a long fuse, but that strategy won.
Yeah.
Now we've got 50 battles,
Yeah.
50 smaller battles instead of one big one, and it's hopeless in some of the states. The blue states are right now hopeless, and then there are border states. We've got clinics closing. Praise God, clinics closing all over the country in pro-life states, but clinics opening in states
On the border of
on the
pro-life
border.
states.
Yes.
That's right. So Idaho's right next to Washington, for example, and we got a tough battle ahead of us.
Seth, how do you see this right now with all 50 states having the option? What are you guys doing right now to help states be able to outlaw abortion?
Yeah,
and to make sure that it's criminalized?
Yeah, that's right. We have resistance chapters around the country. We're launching more next year. And really, it's mobilizing the local church. I mean, like, until Rhino Republicans and establishment leaders begin to fear evangelical outrage,
Interesting.
annoying their offices, calling that. And by the way, a lot of this, brother, right, Knox, is that like most Christians, including some like absolute warrior pastors that are very involved in the culture war, that if I told you their names, you'd be like, oh yeah, have no idea about the compromised nature of many pro-life establishment groups and leaders and pro-life Republicans at the state level. They have no idea about the inside baseball of all the little stuff we're talking about right now. But they're just like, and I see this all the time, they're like, oh, yeah, man, I love those organizations. You're right, protect the babies. It's like, no.
They try to destroy
They're
our
actively
bill.
going around slandering and smearing and trying to shut down and dethrone real conservative, spirit-filled Christians who are trying to pass equal rights protections. They're naughty.
But the good thing is that now that it's at the state level, state legislators who could always put pro-life on their brochures,
Right.
because it didn't matter,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
It's a federal.
That's great,
All
yeah.
of a sudden, they've got to. They're going to have to vote.
They now have a real report card that's about the land.
There's a real report card.
Yeah.
Yep.
In Idaho, we had a trigger bill that was passed years before Dobbs, and a whole bunch of rhinos signed it. I think, believing it would never happen. And
Roe v. Wade never would
and I've
turn over
I've
to the
heard
Supreme Court
that,
level.
yeah, as soon as Dobbs went through and our trigger bill went through, which is a near ban on abortion in Idaho, a whole bunch of them started apologizing.
Right, I remember that.
We signed this, but we didn't think it would actually ever happen. So you're absolutely right.
Yep.
When you're going to churches, what makes them so squeamish about what you're talking about?
Well, it's never talked about in the church by pastors, right? By and large, they're not like you guys.
yeah.
And secondly, most lay evangelicals, they're not that engaged in the really bloody culture war battles. Now, maybe in recent years, the trans stuff and the sexualization of kids in the public schools,
Right.
But the killing baby stuff, like most evangelicals call themselves pro-life. Most evangelicals might go to a pregnancy resource center banquet once a year, but they're not really involved. So they just don't understand a lot of this stuff. And so if you just baby step them through this, it's incredible how quickly they grasp it. Of like, well, yeah, I thought that was the whole point of the pro-life movement. I thought we were trying to give the babies in the womb legal
Isn't that
protections.
what we were doing?
Yeah. It's like it's only. I'm really struggling to not say names right now, but there's only certain people in the pro-life establishment who like seemingly can't grasp what the normal Jesus-loving evangelical trying to raise their kids in a godly manner grasps like that. Yeah. And so next year we're launching a C4.
That's what I was going to ask.
And we're going to be doing direct political engagement to begin really, one, exposing a lot of the rhinos and those who are stopping these kind of bills from being passed, but also, and maybe most importantly, discipling local Christians into why this is necessary, righteous, and the only path towards actually
You need a
protecting
new
the unborn.
acronym, PLINOS.
Pro-life.
Pro-life in name only. PLINOS.
That's right.
Pastor, what do you got going for 2026?
I don't know. I just go where I'm pointed.
How many books do you still have in the hopper to write, or that are written that aren't published?
I've got 1, 2, maybe 3 that are in process of. I've turned manuscripts in, 2 or 3, and I've got.
Are they going to get accepted?
Yeah.
You still got a good publisher? All right. How much time do we have them for? Do we have to let them
We
go?
got about 5 minutes.
Okay, good.
I want to piggyback on this conversation, kind of bring it back to some of the political conversation we're having and what's going on at AmFest. I wonder. So we've got this carnage happening in our land, and I wonder, Doug, maybe you speak to this first, and Seth, if you've got thoughts on this, but. So many, I think, Americans look at the situation worldwide, but then they say, we've got so many problems at home. There's economic problems, there's immigration problems.
Morality problems.
And all kinds of things. And maybe at the top of the list of it all should be the carnage of abortion. We're murdering millions of babies. We're killing our own children. How do you think about ordering priorities? And I know there's a certain sense in which you got to walk and chew gum at the same time if you're the president of the United States or other high-level officials. But how does like an America first stance, so to speak, think about these issues? How do we order our loves rightly and say, okay, it seemed like we got to stop killing our own babies. Kind of needs to be at the very top.
I mean,
and what?
I'm sorry. Let me turn my mic off because I want to talk.
But we got you got Ukraine, you got the Middle East, you've got Venezuela, whatever. You got all these issues.
You got Tucker and Ben.
And I'm not saying you just turn off your brain and you don't care about those things. But how does a thoughtful Christian say, okay, what are the things I'm supposed to be most concerned about?
Yeah. So there's one more big thing that is sort of running in the background all the time. And that is, when you say America first, you have to come to grips with the fact that there are actually 2 Americas now.
Right.
Right. There is no singular America. We've not been this fragmented since 1859, and I think we're even more fragmented than 1859 because at that point, North and South were both culturally Christian.
Right.
There were other normal cultural differences.
Right.
Now it's secular, materialistic, atheistic,
right,
and all the mess. And then Heartland America, which is basically residuum of Christendom.
Yeah.
And those are two Americas.
Yeah, vastly different.
So when you say America first,
Right.
which
That's
America?
helpful, yeah.
Which America is in charge?
Right.
If Biden or Hillary is running America,
That's good.
I don't want America first. Right? If there are common sense, believing conservatives who are around the in the court of the king and in the president's administration, and they're working on unifying us again into a singular America, then I can get behind that.
Right.
And so this is the push point into Americas. There were 2 Israels at different times. There were the people sacrificing their kids to Molech. Right. In the blue provinces, and there were people who would be appalled at that.
Right.
So did the Israelites have the responsibility to intervene when the God haters were exterminating themselves?
Right.
So I think we need to think holistically, like Francis Schaeffer said, not in bits and pieces.
Right.
But what we need to do is we have to say, get covenant kids out of the government schools.
Yes.
Right. Stop being breeders for the secularists.
Yes.
Get our kids out. Consolidate in Red America.
Yeah.
And then fight for teaching our kids to respect life, not to get pregnant. And if you do, then don't take the baby's life. You know, we circle the wagons for us. And then when the Molech worshipers are destroying themselves, because that's what they're doing, if God shows mercy on them, then we can make a move.
Okay. How does that keep going? And then how do you take the next step? Now you got other threats. How does the two America?
Yeah, the organization of it.
You know, how do you start? You know, if you got the two Israels, you got Syria as a threat. You got Assyria as a threat. But here we got, you know, I don't know, radical Islam.
Yeah.
You've got, you know, drug runners in Venezuela.
Dearborn, Michigan.
Whatever. Like, so how do we think about maybe foreign policy as well in that mix?
I think we've got a big ocean on either side. We don't have to think about foreign policy that much if we just turned off the tap. Just
The money.
The money and the tap of immigrants coming in.
Oh, yes.
Just,
Okay.
Just say, okay,
Guard the
stop
top
what
and
we're
bottom.
doing.
Yeah, that's
Stop
good.
the
You know,
immigration.
you go to
Stop funding our enemies with money.
Yeah, you go to the doctor. Doctor, it hurts when I do this. And he says, well, don't do that.
Yeah.
Stop doing what hurts.
Yeah, very good.
Seth?
Thoughts on that?
Too many. Probably have a little bit of time left. Child sacrifice is always the foundation of a teetering empire. Can't get the right to life right, you won't get any other rights right.
Right.
And those who murder the unborn cannot be trusted to govern the born. And those who murder the unborn will one day murder you too, the longer that you tolerate the sacrament of Satan. J.D. Unwin wrote a book in 1934 called Sex and Culture, where he examined 86 civilizations over 5,000 years. And shocker, he finds a 100% correlation between free the libido, Woodstock sexual insanity, and the death of civilizations, and a 100% correlation between the coupling of prenuptial chastity with absolute monogamy and cultural advancement, cultural energy, cultural power. And he says once a civilization adopts total sexual freedom, that's actually the phrase he uses, and he means it in a legislative manner, not just like some preferences changed in individual sexual hearts. He means like the state opened up sexual license. You have 3 generations before your civilization is taken over by another society with greater social energy. So I guess the question becomes, by the way, he defined a generation by about 30-year increments back then when J.D. Unwin wrote it, not like how we do today. So the question becomes, when did America embrace total sexual freedom? I'm working on this right now
64.
in my book. I think it was 73, and here's why.
You're trying to buy us more time.
For 3 reasons. 3 things happened in 1973.
Okay.
Obviously, Roe v. Wade,
Okay.
point of birth abortions in all 50 states funded by the taxpayer. But what else? The Endangered Species Act that gives more legal protections to porpoises and sea turtles than human babies.
Wow.
And thirdly, the removing of obscenity laws by our Supreme Court, allowing the widespread distribution of pornography.
Right.
And so you get all 3 of those things in the same year. I guess the question is, can you have total sexual freedom if you still have to take responsibility for your sexual choices? I would say no. I'd say you have total sexual freedom when you can eliminate the products of your sexual choices, babies. All that happens in 73. So if I'm doing my math right, 73 to 2003, 2003 to 2033. So we're approaching the 3rd and final chapter. And I don't like to usually approach history in a sort of mechanical way like that. But no liberal's been able to really counter J.D. Unwin's research because it's a total indictment to liberalism. And he says, this is history, observation, I'm not doing opinion. This is our last stand. We're in this mess because we've been killing babies for over 50 years.
So would you say
We got 1 minute.
That's
Okay.
really compelling. That's good.
Yeah. J.D. Unwin is the author.
J.D. Unwin,
What's the book?
sex and culture. It's like this big.
So I have that book. It's a fantastic book. So you would summarize by saying, I know we have foreign issues going on. I know we have all this stuff going on. If you don't get the abortion and the murdering of children right, there's no blessing that comes from God to do anything else.
Yeah, that's when God's the most pissed off in the Old Testament is orgies, like Pete Buttigieg, like kind of stuff, and then baby killing.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much for taking the time. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks.
Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Yep.
Fantastic.
You.